All right, well, hello and welcome to the second episode of On Our Stage, a podcast about theater and the people who make it, hosted by the people who facilitate it. Literally. My name is Greg, and I'm the co-owner of the StageCrafts. My wife, Jen, and I manage and operate small performing arts venues in Hollywood for our living. Today, I'm coming to you from my living room as I prepare to interview playwright Brian James Polak and director Richard Piatt. Brian is the scribe behind The Meeting. It's not a play, it's not a show, it's not an event or even an experience, as there is no art under the leader. It is just a meeting. Richard is the director of Theater Unleashed's upcoming production of The Meeting at this year's New York City Fringe Festival. In The Meeting, 5 former performing artists convene a meeting in a fascist future where all forms of art and even the utterance of any art-related words have been banned. These artists discuss what a person is to do in a world where one's purpose in life has been eradicated. Over time, they begin to learn that even the most fascist society can never stop people from being who they truly are. The Meeting opens Wednesday, April 1st at the Chain Theater Studio in New York City and runs for 5 performances through April 6th. Tickets are on sale now at the link in the video description below. Now, without further ado, let's meet our guests. All righty. Well, Brian, Richard, thank you both so much for joining me this morning as we talk about The Meeting, which will be going up at the Chain Studio in New York City. We are opening April 1st and running through April 6th, 5 performances only, as part of Frigid's New York City Fringe Festival. And the show is presented, of course, by Theater Unleashed, my company. As I mentioned in the intro, I am the producer of this show, and I am incredibly proud to be producing what I think is such an important and relevant work at the time. But right now is not the time for me to talk about this. Right now, I want you guys to take the mic here and share with us your thoughts and feelings about the show. But first, actually, let's find out who you both are. Brian, do you want to jump in first and give us a quick introduction and a brief thumbnail about your experience with theater?
Sure. Yeah. Brian James Polak. I'm a playwright mainly. One of my side gigs is as a podcast host for a podcast where I interview other playwrights that I've been doing for almost 11 years now, called The Subtext. I am kind of I feel I'm a late to theater type of person. I didn't grow up in the theater. I didn't grow up with the arts. I grew up as a bad athlete. And so because of that, when I aged into adulthood, I didn't have anything to do outside of like getting a job and going to work and coming home. And it was through several years of sort of like seeking what is my purpose in life that I found myself in an acting class, and then in an improv class, and then as an improv actor, a theater actor, and failing at all of these things along the way. And eventually decided maybe I'm a writer. And I started to write. And by that point, that whole period took about 10 years. So I was in my early 30s when I picked up a pen, a metaphorical pen, and started to write. And yeah, so I've been writing ever since, and happily.
How many plays have you written at this point?
That's a tough one. I probably have written close to, I don't know, maybe 25 to 30 plays, maybe 20 full-length plays, and another 10 or so like short 10-minute plays or so. And I would say maybe about 12 of them are like accessible to the public, and the others have been burned at the stake and buried.
Yeah. No, I got that. I got a couple of those myself. I understand. Yeah. Things that is like, nope, you don't ever get to see the light of day.
Yeah. Those were like training purposes only.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have those. Yeah. So I am not at all intimidated by interviewing a guy who's been hosting a podcast for 11 years. You know, this is, I know that I'm being judged thoroughly right now, but I'm excited. I'm up to the challenge. Let's do this. Yeah. So what was your sport if you were an athlete previously? Like, what was your game?
Okay. So anytime we say the word athlete, let's just imagine there are quote marks around.
I understand. I'm a former baseball player.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So and I have a black belt. But yeah, it's like I get you. Yeah.
So I played football.
Okay.
From junior high school through all the way through high school, and I was on the track team, and my primary event on the track team was pole vaulting.
Oh wow.
cool.
Which the vaulting part of pole vaulting should be in heavy quotes for me.
Oh, damn.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh my God. That's a hell of a sport too. Like what was it? Do you remember what your highest jump was or vault was?
Yeah, it was something like, I mean, when you know what Olympic vaulters do, which is like 20 feet.
Sure.
My
This is high school.
highest was something like 11 feet and a couple inches or something like that.
Hey man, that's still higher than I can go. So that's
Yeah.
pretty dope.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's not great when you measure it against what actual good pole vaulters could do.
You know, hey, it's like I said, it's still higher than anybody who's never tried. You know.
True.
Yeah. Richard, tell us about yourself and your journey through theater.
I have absolutely no athletic ability whatsoever.
Okay.
Just skip that part.
The sports to theater pipeline is real.
It's really well. There's a lot of athletes in theater too. It's just I am not one of them.
My biggest coup was my senior year of high school, where I recruited the center of the football defensive line to be in the spring musical one year. So yeah, the sports to theater pipeline is real. So.
It is real. When I was in high school, the guy who I played Nathan Detroit, and the guy who played Sky was the captain of the football team. I was the captain of standing on the sideline. So there we go.
Man, they need people to cheer.
Exactly. Well, let's see my background. I used to be a theater professor. I retired from that. Oh God, with COVID, basically. So back in 2020, I left that. Mm-hmm. But I am a director. I'm an actor. A wannabe playwright whose work will never see the light of day. And my background's primarily in musical theater, believe it or not. So that's what I grew up with. That's what got me into all of this. So things like Guys and Dolls and Hello Dolly and the classics, and then later on things like Rent, et cetera, and so on. And I directed most of that. I performed it as a young person, and then I left out when I came back to theater. I am directing it. I really, really loved directing. In that process, while I was teaching, I found Theater of the Oppressed. So it goes to Boal's work and Theater for Social Change from a variety of different playwrights and eras, et cetera, and so on. And I ended up devising a class called Theater and Change, the Politics of Performance, Theater, Government, Social Change. And I loved teaching that class. It was so kind of energetic with the students, which was fun. It was eye-opening for me on a lot of levels. It was a good education and a deep dive into how theaters and theater practitioners and governments over the centuries, over the millennium, have worked together or worked against each other. So yeah, that's my background basically. And I still direct. I'm out in Los Angeles now. I used to be on the East Coast. But now I still direct, I still act, and I sell antiques as my side hustle. As everyone,
you just made your off-Broadway premiere last year.
I did. Well, as a director with Theater Unleashed, with Three Can Keep a Secret by Gregory Krabs, and then as an actor in Sally Spectre the Musical by David Johnson.
Yeah,
and that was down at Urban Stages back in October, which was a lot of fun too.
That's awesome, man.
So I'm excited to bring this play to New York.
Same. So Brian, what inspired you to write this show? I mean, I read your Facebook post about it and everything, and that was like that's what made me like take note of the show, but also kind of like fall in love with the concept of it. But yeah, for everybody who's not privy to your personal Facebook, what inspired you to write this?
So I was while I was in grad school and following a few years after finishing grad school, I was hooked into this woman named Joanna Klaas, who worked for us like this. I think it was a Polish government organization called the Adam Mickiewicz Institute, and her job was to essentially spread Polish theater around the world. And one way she did that was by bringing theater makers to Poland for conferences, for events, to produce plays, to attend festivals, etc. And I was brought in through my grad school at University of Southern California in 2012 to take this trip to Poland. And my last name is Polak, which means Polish person, but I had zero connection to the Polish side of my family. But when I arrived in Poland, I was just like kind of overwhelmed by this feeling of like familiarity. The people that I saw just on the street or on like a subway car, they looked like my grandfather. Everybody looked like my grandfather. Mm-hmm. So I quickly developed like this emotional connection to the place. And I think because of that, I kept getting invited back. And on a subsequent trip, it was immediately following the presidential election of 2016 here in the US. And so I had a lot of feelings about that and the result of that. And I was taking those feelings with me to a city called Wrocław, Poland, to attend a small theater festival. And a small theater conference. And during that conference, I met a whole bunch of playwrights and theater makers from Eastern and Central Europe, former Soviet nations, Lithuania, Ukraine, Georgia, Bulgaria. And we all just talked theater for a few days. And we had a meeting where we were supposed to devise a theater piece in a breakout group to present to the rest of the conference. And in that meeting, all we did was talk. And at the end of the meeting, we realized we didn't do anything, that we were supposed to now do something back to the rest of the group. And I can't remember if I suggested it or if somebody else in the group suggested it, but somebody said, let's just recreate our meeting and our conversation, and that will be our presentation. And we tried to do that, and it did not go off well. Like, it didn't translate, but the concept really stuck in my head. Oh, a meeting where there is no fourth wall, where everybody there is just there. They're at the meeting. The conversation is happening however it happens, and everybody there is free to participate however they see fit. So that got lodged in my brain. And then I immediately, the next day, I left that conference and went to Krakow, Poland, to attend a theater festival called the Boska Komedia Festival. And over the course of the next 11 or 12 days, I saw something like 30 theater productions. And the European theater aesthetic is so much more heavily focused on politics and much less focused on interpersonal, dramatic conflict. And which is where I'm coming from as a playwright. I'm very focused on the interpersonal family dynamics, relationships. And so I got really immersed for several days in these highly political theater pieces and pieces that were staged in traditional theater spaces and really non-traditional theater spaces, just like a space. Throw a bunch of chairs in there and make a play. And all of these things were happening in my brain at the same time. Like, I just had that conference. We just did that thing, that meeting recreation. I'm seeing all these amazing theater pieces. And I'm in Poland for maybe 3 weeks, and I come home and all of this is just swimming in my head for the longest time. And I'm just like, I want to write something like this. It's way outside what I tend to write, but I want to do it. And I eventually decided I was going to convene a group of people to write this organically, improvisationally, because I wanted the play to be natural. And I was like, oh, the way to do that is to have the actors use their own words.
Yeah.
And then COVID struck. That, we all went into isolation. And during isolation, I was like, I'm just going to write it. I'm just going to write the whole thing as I see it in my head. And all of the things that had been stewing in my brain for at that point, it was, 4 years, came out into this script that I titled The Meeting. And then nothing really happened with it until a little, maybe I think it was maybe a year ago this month, February of 2025, where another election we're in the aftermath of another election, very similar results, and even scarier to me than the first time. And that's what I kind of wrote about. I wrote about my feelings and how my feelings intertwined with this play, and that's when you and I reconnected, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and yeah, you made that Facebook post, and I know that um, talking about your experiences with creating it, and like I said, I read that, and I was like, I have to read the script immediately. And you were kind enough to send it to me, and I read it, and just like voraciously tore it apart, and was like, this is fantastic. I want to do this at Fringe. And you were incredibly generous enough to allow us to basically take it to the Hollywood Fringe this year or last year, and we even got an award nomination out of it for best immersive theater. Super proud of that, because immersive theater is not TU's specialty by any stretch of the imagination, So this was a unique and interesting challenge for us to do that. But I also know that we're not, and now we're taking it to New York, a festival shortened edit of it. That we're working within the restrictions that the New York Fringe puts on shows, including a time limit. So this is a shorter version of the script. But I also understand that we're not the only productions that are coming up of this. Like, how many other folks are putting it up right now, and how many of them found it through the same post that I did, would you say?
Well, when I wrote that post a year ago, I would say maybe half a dozen people reached out to me to read the script, and you were the only one with whom it connected enough to want to produce. I just, because of, I just had a workshop of it in January here in Minneapolis, where I live, and we ended up having to cancel the end of the workshop because of what was happening on the ground, or what still is happening on the ground here in Minneapolis with ICE invading the Twin Cities. And so I wrote about that on Facebook again, and then I had another round of people reaching out to see the script, and since then a couple of them have requested to do like one-nighters of the script as fundraisers for charitable organizations that are supporting people impacted by what's happening with the ICE surges all over the country. And so one of them hasn't been announced yet, but I think it's pretty certain to happen. So I can say it's happening at this arts organization called Shake Rag Alley in Mineral Point, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And another one is potentially happening in Canada. Either Windsor or Toronto or both places. I'm not really sure. And that might not work out, but who knows? These things can be really complicated. But I'm talking to some really nice Canadian theater folks about putting it on. And there's like Theater Unleashed did the very first production of it ever last year. The play wasn't even really workshopped yet. I wasn't even sure if it worked as a play. So it really was like a leap of faith for you to take it. And
well, it resonated.
So seeing it in Hollywood Fringe last year, I was able to see a performance of it. I was just like, oh, wow, yeah, this play actually kind of works. It's amazing. So since then, I got hooked into this workshop of it in January with a theater company called Melancholics Anonymous in Minneapolis, and a theater company. So it's been like Fringe premiered. It hasn't been like officially world premiered yet. And that's going to happen in August in Los Angeles with a theater company called Space Pirates Theater Collective. And I've had the great luxury of being able to see the work that you all did with this piece last year, and then do this workshop. And I went into the workshop knowing that you all were taking this to New York for the New York City Fringe. So I went in with 2 tracks of my mind running simultaneously, like how to make this the best full-length script I can possibly make it. And then how do I make this the best like 50-minute version I can possibly make it. And I came out of that workshop and basically with 2 edits of the script. And now I'm like, now I know the full length version works because that's what you did last year. And I'm like, okay, now we're working on this shortened version. And I'm like, does it work as a shortened version? But you made it work the first time. So I trust that you'll do it this time too.
Thank you. Well, we certainly appreciate the trust you're putting in us with that. And honestly, I'm just the guy that said, fuck it, let's do it. We ball. But Richard is really the mind behind all of this because he, with your experiences with Boal and the Theater of the Oppressed and social justice, you have a great sense for what this play needs to get across. Richard, how would you say that you're actually? Why am I saying this? How does your experience inform your vision for the show? Actually, we haven't actually talked about what the show actually is yet either. So, Brian, we know what the show is, but Richard, I want to hear like your thumbnail of what you think the show is, real quick.
Just as the title says, this is a meeting. Yeah. This is a meeting of a secret meeting, an anonymous meeting, where people come in and they are anonymized. They are Joe. Everyone is Joe. Every audience member is Joe. Every character is Joe. And as an audience member, when you come into the room, you have no idea who's an actor and who's not. You walk into a meeting room. There's no theatrical lights. There's no nothing. It is, for all intents and purposes, a 12-step meeting. It could look like in a church basement or a civil hall basement, whatever. Coffee, donuts, water. Somebody begins to talk. And you begin to realize that this is about artists. This is about people who were formerly artists because they're not allowed to be artists anymore. That has been made illegal. You cannot speak about art. You cannot do art in any way, shape, or form. You cannot discuss it. You cannot create it. And to do so, you risk being stomped. And stomped is never actually defined. The way we chose to define it in our production was along the lines of you will be disappeared, eliminated, you will be gone in some way, shape, or form. Whether or not that means you're actually killed is left up to the imagination of every person in the room. Greg, when you handed me, well, first you said, read this Facebook post, which I did. And he said, read this script, which I did. I'm like, okay, when are we doing this? It's a play that hits way too close to home for me these days. It's what you lived in Minneapolis or are living in Minneapolis. It's what is happening in Los Angeles and everywhere else in the country. And it's not just about us. This is not a play about the current administration. This is not a play about what's happening in the United States. This is a play about what can happen anywhere or what has happened anywhere. Yeah. I don't want to compare
it to though that it's only grown more relevant with time.
It really has simply grown more relevant with time. Yeah. It's a piece. I want audience members to come to see this because they need to realize that it's not just about things that aren't necessarily at their doorstep. This could show up at their doorstep at any point in time. And it's not just about an issue that's happening in the United States, in this case, ICE and immigration. It's about the ability to be who you are, wherever you are, and do what you do in a free society. And what happens when that society's freedom is threatened. So.
Yeah. And how would you say that your experience with Boal and Theater of the Oppressed informs your views and your interpretation of the work?
Okay, well, I want to make it clear this is not a piece of Theater of the Oppressed work. It is not forum theater. It's not anything like that. But we used techniques in rehearsal. We used invisible theater techniques in rehearsal. And in a way, it's akin to, maybe adjacent to invisible theater, where theater might be happening right around you and you have no idea that they're actors, but they're feeding you information or saying things to you. That's one of the styles. This is adjacent, where you walk in, you're coming, as an audience member, you're coming into a piece of theater, you've paid for it, hopefully. But you don't know where the ending is, where it begins and where it ends. And you don't know if it ends. because hopefully you're taking it out with you, and you're talking to people in the lobby. You're talking to people over coffee next week about what you witnessed and what you experienced, and you're still continuing the show.
Yeah. So why this play? Why New York? And why right now?
This play, because it has become more relevant. Rights are being threatened left, right, and center. Why New York? New York is an epicenter. There's a lot going on there in terms of human rights violations. There's also a lot going on in terms of theater. I mean, it's the theater capital of the United States. This is the place we should be doing it. We want to expose New York to this style of theater again. Yes, it's happening there, but not like this. Not like this. Not now. Why now? We have to. That's the political part of me coming out. I have to. I want to do something with the art that is relevant, that is thought-provoking, and that possibly generates action, positive action from audience members.
Absolutely. Yeah, because theater should inspire, but theater should also motivate and inform.
Exactly. And now I'm beginning to feel like, oh my God, this is what it's like to be interviewed.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm normally behind the scenes.
Yeah. And speaking to the relevancy, Brian, I'm happy to edit this out if this is, close to home or anything, but you are in Minneapolis right now. And you did mention, what you have alluded a little bit to what life is like there at the moment, but are you comfortable talking about what it's like being there under Operation Metro Surge at the moment?
Sure. Yeah. When we're just jumping back real quick, and I won't take long to get back to the actual question. But when I started to imagine this play at the end of 2016 and 2017, and then when I really wrote it in 2020 and 2021, I was really thinking about it being like a warning. Like, imagine if our society became oppressed in the way where artists couldn't be artists anymore. And that's sort of like the original intent of the piece, was being like, this has happened in North Korea, this has happened in Belarus, this is happening to some extent in Russia and other nations that are led by dictatorships, essentially. So when we started to workshop this in January, and I'll jump back a little bit. Like, the production of yours I saw last year, the day I was there was No King's Day in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And that added another level of tension to the moment. And you could really feel that in the room. And that feeling really stuck with me for a long time. And I was just like, it was the reminder that we're sliding closer, right, to this thing I'm thinking as a warning. And then when this past January hit, the workshop began a week after Renee Good was killed, and we were rehearsing literal blocks away from the site where she was killed, and that feeling, that tension was in the room with us every single night. Like, it was very heavy. And the more we rehearsed the play, the heavier it felt, because it felt like I just wrote on Facebook the other day, it felt like the danger was now literally outside our door and no longer outside a metaphorical door. And, at the end of every rehearsal was like, does everybody have a ride home? Does everybody feel safe getting home? Does anybody need a ride, et cetera? That kind of thing, because this danger felt real for the first time. And then the following week is when Alex Preddy was killed. And the site where he was killed is literally across the street from the location where the reading was going to take place. Like, it's like, here's the building where the reading's taking place. Across the street is where he was shot. And so when that happened, it really was like too much.
Yeah.
Like, the location where we were rehearsing and the location where the reading was going to take place were kind of transforming into community support stations for people who were protesting and needing safety. So the whole thing ended after about like 2/3 of the way through the workshop, because the feeling is just so palpable. And the space where I'm sitting right now is like our home office, and it's looking out the front of my house, and to the right is like I can see some main roads. And every day I'm sitting here, or my wife Heather is sitting here, one of us is in this office working, and we're literally like peeking to see if SUVs are like coming around the corner. And that's the feeling everybody has around this city. When's it coming to my block? And that sort of like that tension changes your sort of like, I don't know, your nervous system. It's harder to sleep. It's scary to go out, especially alone. And like I said, I think before you hit record, like it's feeling like it's starting to die down a little bit. They have changed behavior in a way, but on Friday night, I went to a reading at the location where my play was going to be read, and I saw the Alex Preddy site for the first time,
Oh, wow.
and it hit me in a way like this was a normal street. This was just a street I've been down 1,000 times, right? Like this location, the Black Forest Inn where the reading was happening, is like I've been there many times. This is just a place. This is not some like imagined far off distant location where some tragedy happened and we can shut it out of our brains. It's right there. And to see it in person was like, it was shocking and reminder that this kind of tragedy can happen in front of literally could happen in front of my house, as likely as it happened where it's happened with Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
Yeah. Yep. And now we're bracing for them to potentially come back to Southern California and re-escalate down here. So yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that sigh, like that's exactly how people like we're like, we don't know what to say, we don't know what to do. We're constantly checking in with each other, checking in with our neighbors, checking in with ourselves. And oftentimes you're just like you're just breathing. You take a big sigh, take a big deep breath, and that's all you can do in a moment, because this is all so head spinning and mind boggling.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had better words to respond to that, but it's,
yeah, there are none, honestly.
Yeah, there are. They're yours. I mean, you asked why to do this play. This is why. Point blank. That's why.
And that's why you're the director. That's why I trust you at the helm of this ship. So that's why, because I don't have the comprehension or the ability to react to that. And Richard, you're already like, let's fucking act on this, and that's critical.
It's what we do. We're artists. That's what we do.
Yeah. Well, what do we want to accomplish with this production? What's our goal? What's our next step? What do we want to see happen with this?
Is that to me or to Brian or?
Yes. Richard, you first. Yeah. That's like with our production in New York, what do we want to, because
I want to see interest in this particular play, but also plays like it grow. Yeah. I want the artists who think they don't know they have nothing they can do besides, and don't get me wrong, I think all the protests on the street are important. The being able to use your voice on the street is important, but this is another way of using your voice. You're an artist, you're not sure what to do, you're in the middle of an area that might not get it because it's not on their doorstep. Do a play like this. Do a reading of It Can't Happen Here. Do a reading of another political play from a long time ago that takes you out of the present situation, but allows you to engage with what's happening in the present situation.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not at a point yet where artists are being told, you can't do art anymore. We're not where Brian's play takes us, but yeah, we are. And this is a way of distancing ourselves from the present reality enough to be able to engage with the present reality. There's no catharsis at the end of Brian's play. It's very much like Brecht, where you don't want catharsis at the end of it. You want the audience to continue to talk. And that's part of the point of theater of the oppressed, too. You don't get the catharsis. You don't get that release of, oh, well, everything turned out okay. No, it didn't. And in this particular play, it's still happening. And in our streets right now, it's still happening. And in streets around the world, it's still happening. So what I would like to see with Brian's play is that people in New York see our production, and then he gets 20 more calls.
Yeah.
Saying, can I do this play? People in Los Angeles, when they see the newest version there this fall for the world premiere, I want Brian to get another 20 calls.
Yeah.
From Los Angeles and San Diego and Ojai. You know, that's what I want. That's what I think needs to happen.
I agree. And if not this show, then do Lefty, do Resistible Rise of Arturo Uri.
Yeah,
you know?
it's why we did Lefty a few years ago.
Our interpretation of it. Yeah.
We very quickly we did an interpretation of Waiting for Lefty that was taking place in the present day.
Yeah.
We
it was
took
a complete
the framework and
rewrite,
reimagined
a complete derivative. We just used the framework from it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's been 86 years and we're still waiting for Lefty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And we changed it from being said at a union meeting to somebody doom scrolling through their phone. So there's dance numbers, there's info commercials, and there's all kinds of other stuff. And then there's scenes ripped straight from the headlines at the time.
I want people doing more political theater, I guess, and more theater of the moment.
Yeah.
And being able to use their art to create conversation. Yeah. And hopefully create some change. Positive change.
I agree. And so that's what we want artists to get out of it. What do we want audiences to get out of it? Brian, well, first off, Brian, what would you want the non-theater making audience to get out of this show? Like what would be your hope?
If they're not already recognizing the reality that we're facing, that, like Richard said, we're not in this near future yet, but we're now so close to it, we can see it. If the people who come, if they're not already able to see it, I'm hoping that they can see it, and that they can possibly think about that as they go forward, not just about the play, but about their life. And is this the future that they want? Are they like, maybe realize that the arts have an important place in their life, because the ripple effect, it's not just like a painting or a sculpture or a piece of theater. Like the arts, and I think a lot of people don't really think about this, the arts impact every aspect of their life. Like every piece of film they've seen, every TV show they've seen, it's all made by artists. And if you live in a world where what artists can do to express themselves and to train themselves and to become good at what they do is controlled by a government entity, the ripple effect is going to be horrendous. And I want people to take that to heart, to really understand that that's the future that we're facing, and that we as individual people, we do still, at least right now, have the ability to do something about it. And I hope we do, because honestly, and maybe haters will come after me for this, I don't talk openly about politics very often. I speak through my work for the most part, but we're all old enough, like the three of us are old enough to remember living in a society where we had multiple political parties that were like, debating and arguing, and then family gatherings and holidays would be like arguing about taxes and like superficial shit like that.
Yeah.
Now we really are like one party that wants to to go back to that world where we can just have like basic political debates, and another party that just wants to eradicate the other one. Like they want to eradicate the other party, and they just want pure control over society. And for people I know in my family and my extended networks who used to be or currently are still considering themselves Republicans, but are not considering themselves terrible people and still want a safe and healthy society. I really hope that they can just be like, you know what, for this next couple cycles of elections, I just need to vote Democrats to get the shit out of here. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. No, I agree. Richard, what do you want to see audiences get out of the show? Or
I want them to become more intelligently engaged.
Yes.
With the world. It's so easy to get stuck inside your TikTok little bubble and only get feedback from the people that you like and the voices that you like. I want a bunch of Republicans to show up to the play and get a taste of what it's like. Or people who really do want this Handmaid's Tale world that we're heading towards to come to the play and get a taste for what you're really asking for here. And see if it really is what you want. And hopefully they will look at it and go, wait a minute, I don't want this. Yeah. And they'll wake up. It's clearly frustrating for me the way people can isolate themselves and not think and not engage.
Yeah. If it's not a problem for them, then it's not a problem. Yeah.
Which is for me personally, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
That is a huge problem. That's my Catholicism coming out, I suppose. You can't be just worried about yourself. I grew up Catholic. I was a Catholic priest for a very long time. I was an Augustinian, I'll call him Pope Bob because Bob. That's how I knew him. But you have to be aware of and love everyone. And this play is showing what happens in a world where you don't. In a world where you can say that person is not allowed to speak, or that person is not allowed to have a thought, or that person is not allowed to create who they are and be who they are. I want audiences to wake up to that reality that we're really freaking close to that.
Yeah. And the thing is that everybody, there's a club where everybody that's in it is the in group. But 99% of the people realize is that they're not in that group. Most of them are just anybody who's supporting it that's on the outside is just a useful idiot right now.
Yeah, Richard brings up a good point too, in that the play itself is really, the meeting is focused on artists.
Yes.
Talking about, but and that's basically what I was talking about, like a future where art. But if we are living in a future where art is under control, just to think about all the other aspects of our lives that would also be. It's not like we would be purely free except for the arts. It's like if a fascist society, fascist dictatorship is controlling your arts, they're also controlling your body. They're controlling your employment,
your education. They're controlling
your education.
How we're spending our money. They're controlling engineering. They're controlling sciences. They're controlling everything.
Yes, they're controlling your movement, your travel. They're like everything. A society where the arts are being controlled, everything is being controlled.
Yes.
Yeah. Where's all my fans of small government right now? Because this ain't it.
I would love for somebody to come to the play who has no clue about the arts and say, wait a minute, wake up to the fact that, wait a minute, this is happening in the art world. This could happen in my world. This could happen in engineering. This can happen in aerospace. It can happen in my small town. It can happen in how we get our groceries.
Yeah.
That whole thing about it can happen anywhere has really, like, going back to the life in the Twin Cities right now really has hit home in that way. Like the things that have happened here in the past month and a half could literally, like, there's nothing unique about this place in the sense that it happened here because there's something different here. No, like what happened here could literally be happening
anywhere.
Yeah.
And the justifications for it all are just so thin. and all that has to happen for this to take place is for good people to do nothing.
For artists to stop talking.
And there's something I want to add, and that is, I think, I mean, we're living through bleak times right now, and the times that we are imagining in the world of the meeting are rather bleak.
Mm-hmm.
However, I believe that there is an optimistic undercurrent in the play.
Yes.
Like the play itself is not so bleak because it's about people saying we are going to be who we are. Like you can't stop.
Yes.
Like nothing's going to stop us. And I think I think that's another thing I want people to take away from this is the sense, this sort of like empowerment. Like I do have a voice and I can find a way to use my voice. And our society can try to muzzle me and control me, but if I'm clever and I have something to say, like these 5 people who are running this meeting, then I too can do something about it.
Yes,
absolutely, and I think that's true from the get-go of the show.
Yeah,
they find ways to say what they need to say.
Mhm.
And they find new and more exciting and more clever ways to do it as they go on.
Yeah. And, and you see
And that's
that
what we can do too.
Yeah, and you see that reflected in reality already when people are figuring out ways to get around the filters and the algorithms on TikTok and YouTube and other places where certain words are being filtered out, certain topics aren't. When the algorithm recognizes what your video is about, they'll shadow ban it, they'll delist it, they won't let it show up in places, and people are already figuring out workarounds around that, so your your use of loop, Richard, loop, yeah, and things of that nature. The innovation doesn't stop. That is coming from a place of necessity, a place of that need to express the idea. So you figure out ways to get around the barriers, and there's just, I think that's actually one of my favorite elements of the show is that there's just a simple fundamental truth to that, I mean, to borrow from Jurassic Park, when they said nature finds a way, well, we will find a way. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's actually one of my favorite parts of the show is the loop
hole.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's so simple, so elegant, and so effective. It's like, duh, and I also like how they comment on how kind of cheesy or ridiculous it is, but it's necessary, it's necessary because God forbid they say something that triggers the boot crews, and yeah, and what I think what killed me was reading it, and just again to talk about to share my experience with it. I didn't believe you wrote that in 2016 when I first read it. I was like, bullshit. This is way too close to the bone right now. This is way too close to the moment right now. When I read it when I read it last year, I was like, it's too accurate. So I couldn't believe that you had written it back then, or had been working on it since that time and been heading in that direction with it, because it is truly a play for our times.
If I can jump in real fast here too. I mean, we can go down the rabbit hole like Brian was alluding to of despair, but the hope that's built into the piece.
Yes,
and that
that's
extends
something we haven't
outside
talked
into the
enough
lobby
about.
as people are talking. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. And that we can get stuck on everything that's wrong. But the more we go back to who we are from our natures and what we want to do and how we want to be human beings in and loving this world and the light, then it works. And I think the more people get excited to continue to advocate for what's good and what's right and what's best about our country or whatever country this play is produced in, whatever society we happen to be in at the time, then hope rings eternal. The only way we're going to end up in a completely despondent state is if all hope dies, and that's not going to happen.
No. I mean, this
That's
proves
not
that even
gonna
under
happen.
the worst conditions, there's always hope.
There's always.
And sometimes even the smallest actions can, turn that spark into a flame,
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what else you guys working on? to lighten the mood a little bit before we sign off for the day. Yeah. Richard, I know you're directing a show that's heading back to New York after this one. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the very early stages of it. I'm not allowed to talk about it yet.
Got it. All right.
But
Yeah.
it's a wonderful play about art and family relationships, and it's a wonderful new piece. That's all I can say right now, and I'm very much looking forward to that. We've just finished casting, and we're in pre-production.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, and it's a great crew you're working with over there too, and the script's fantastic. So I'm already trying to figure out how I can get out to see it when it goes up. So
yeah, I can say it's through Fierce Mama Productions, Soda Percy.
Okay.
LA based. But it'll be an LA run and a New York run.
Fantastic. Well, if you guys need a spot in LA, let me know.
Will do.
Brian, what else you got going on, man?
I've been working on a play that was commissioned by Matt McRae at Son of Semele.
Love Matt. Great guy.
About my life writing or being a playwright while being a playwright podcaster.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's a memoir play, and it's called This Is the Subtext. It's my newest play, and it's the play that I've been sending around this year, hoping for it's not ready for production yet, but it's ready for workshopping. So I'm very excited about that. It was a very, very hard play to write. I'd never written anything that was so directly personal before. And then later in the year, I have a world premiere at Third Avenue Playworks in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, for a play I wrote called The Call List. And it's a solo play about a legal assistant who is tasked with calling a list of people to let them know somebody they know has died. It's a dark comedy. All right. It's dark, but it is a dark drama. A comedic drama. You only hear one side of these phone conversations, and over the course of the play, you learn the narrative of this character who's making these phone calls, and her life, and also her trying to figure out who this person was who died, because she has no idea who he. So it's kind of like a little bit of a mystery in a way. But yeah, there was a production of it, a sort of pre-world premiere production of it with Garage Theater in Long Beach last year, and the world premiere is happening in September of this year.
Oh wow, okay, and that's up in Wisconsin, you said?
In Wisconsin, yeah, Sturgeon Bay.
Damn, I'm so bummed I missed it at Garage then. Well, hey, congratulations on that, man. Best of luck with that and with everything else you got going on, Richard. Best of luck with
Thank you.
your upcoming show, and obviously you and I are going to be talking very closely here over the next few weeks. Yeah, I think any final thoughts? Anything else you guys want to share?
I'm excited about bringing the meeting to New York, and I hopefully will get to see you both there.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Hope so too. Come see the meeting. Come see theater. Support theater wherever you are. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. All right. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. I'm incredibly grateful. Yeah. And thank you guys for tuning in, everybody that joined us here. I'll be back in a moment with a wrap-up. That's it for the second episode of On Our Stage. Are you as intrigued by the meeting as we are? Let us know in the comments below. I'd like to thank Brian and Richard for coming onto the pod today to talk about the meeting. I think that this gathering is an important meeting to share in these turbulent times. If you're in New York, we hope you'll join us at the Change Studio in April at NYC Fringe. Beyond the meeting, there are a number of productions coming up here in LA at the Hobgoblin Playhouse, including Bard Fest in April, and the first stop of the 2026 LA Freeway Circuit at Parsons Nose Theater in Pasadena. To learn more about these projects and more, please check out the links below. Thanks again for joining us, friends. We'll be back next week with another exciting interview, this time with the first of 4 interviews, meeting the artists that will be a part of the first stop of this year's LA Freeway Circuit at Parsons Nose. Until then, We'll see you at the theater. Oh, we love you, Jenny.